Ep9 Sessions, a space where we get to hear from everyday counselors who are helping us engage our stories so we can heal and thrive. Today, I am joined with Lydia Moore Allen down in South Florida. She's the founder of See Renew Counseling. It's great to have you today. Just getting started. I know you do a lot with families and family systems. I'm just curious, when you help people start to look at their family of origin and some of the structures and maybe roles and archetypes that people come from within their families, why is it so important to dig into your family structure in the past? And how do you start to see some of those, those themes and trends playing out in the present today?
So I think it's very important. I know generally, most people don't like the idea of digging into the past and, relating it to what they're currently experiencing. But my work as a family therapist over the past years with a treatment center that focused a lot on, helping the family as an opportunity to help the so-called identified client, it really showed me, that if you don't take the time to dig into understanding as far back as your own childhood into adulthood and then even into parenting when you have your own children, that sometimes you missed an opportunity to understand and be more self-aware of the experiences that might trigger particular emotions, that might trigger specific reactive behaviors. So it really gives you a chance to dig in, understand yourself, and then understand how you relate to your loved ones, how you might be able to relate and function on the job as well. It really gives you an opportunity to understand that. And most people generally, they gain that understanding when they might find themselves, in therapy somewhere in the middle of a crisis of sorts, dealing with a son or a daughter or a spouse or, husband or wife or significant other, struggling with whether it's addiction or any other mental health experience that might be triggering a crisis or trauma in their lives or in their relationships. So digging in and understanding yourself, and it's not to say that you can go back and fix it because that's not the goal, but you become more self-aware and you have more insight as to how am I showing up in these relationships when I make certain choices, what's driving that, what's driving my behavior.
A lot of times we hear people making comments like leave the past in the past, or this is the present and that was the past. And we just don't need to go there, live in the future, expanding from just a family system to, just sociologically, culturally, the history of, communities and people groups. Why is it so harmful when we have this message that says leave the past in the past? And why is it so important if we're going to move forward towards healing and health and growth in the future, that it's actually imperative we look into the past and see, what comes up from our past experiences?
So, and I think I can understand instinctively as human beings sometimes, especially if we have, trauma, if we had a tough experience, you really went through a very painful time, whether as a child, a young adult, or even as an adult, and you feel as if you've overcome it, you've done a good job, you're in a better space, a better place, that you might want to leave it in the past, right? But sometimes, understanding that you might be able to leave that experience in the past, but at the same time, use the reflections and the knowledge of what that experience, I guess I would say what you learn from that experience. How do you then take it into whether, the self-awareness of being a better person, making different choices? How then do you influence people in your community, people on the job, people within your household? How then do you influence from that level? We can't just say leave the past in the past, because if we didn't have a past, then, it's like, how do we kind of understand who we are today? The past plays a significant role in shaping and molding us as individuals. So when it does that, then it obviously shapes and molds how we function and how we fit into our own unique family systems, our own unique job environments, and then as a whole, then our unique communities and our, I guess I would say, our country at large. right? It plays a significant role in that.
You've been in the clinical space for almost 2 decades at this point, and you have heard countless stories from different clients from tons and tons of different backgrounds. And I know in your website and even just talking to you, you've expressed how hearing all of these stories has just grown in a ton of compassion for you towards people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different national or ethnic or racial backgrounds, people that just have different stories than you. What, I think a lot of times people actually respond to dissonance or difference with hostility instead of compassion. What do you think it's been in hearing other people's stories that's led you to experience more of a compassionate response? And how do you think at large, as a people that are desperately in need of growing in a place of compassion, what do you think it takes for people to start to respond to other people's stories and all of their difference and all of their nuance with a place of compassion?
So I think a big part of it is that even though we have, different differences in culture and differences in race and differences in our socioeconomic status, that, there are a lot that we do have in common, right? So in my work with, families from, different backgrounds, I was able to connect and relate to them on a lot of different things, even coming from a totally different background, totally different experience. So my care and my passion for them was really stirred from first of all, it motivated me to continue my own work on myself, right? My own therapy, understanding myself, digging into my own history, digging into my own traumas, and really gaining some insight into that. So recognizing that I met so many people from different cultures and realizing that there's so much that is different, but then there's so much that is the same. Some of the pain might be the same, not maybe the specific experience, right? But the hurt and pain from a trauma, the influence from whether it's, addictive family background, what that looks like, the influence from, um, again, I mean, you can make a long list of different things that people from different cultures and background. Poverty, what does that look like for some people? You might not have been raised, within poverty, struggled financially, but you can relate to somebody who, experienced wealth, in their own childhood, but have something in common still on an emotional and mental health level. You see some of the same, similar types of struggles. So for me, I think over the years, I really just enjoyed working with a lot of people from different backgrounds. It motivated me, it fueled me. And I guess the motivation came a lot also with seeing their progress. Right. So the
Yeah.
motivation wasn't just in thin air, it was seeing their progress and seeing the changes and the transformations, not from what I did, but from their full commitments to working on themselves and wanting to do something different and to change their lives and to change their family systems, right? Because ultimately it's not just about one person, but it's about a system,
Yeah.
right? So we have a system, so we have the family system, and then, as I said earlier, you also have your community, and then we have the system at large, which we all function in this big country. So
Well, Lydia, thank you so much for your time. Powerful words. This has been another great session of Between Sessions. Join us here next time. Thank you.
thank you, Barry.